Dave, the garden guy, is the guy with the answer. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Scotty. In fact, we're at Summer Winds Nursery, just north of Bell on Tatum Boulevard. Hey, guys, one thing you want to keep in mind, if you want a beautiful yard, you got to make sure you're planting the right kind of plants. I thought I'd throw some different types of plants out here that do very well during the summertime, especially those perennials. You can see the lantanas that do well. This is one that's very interesting. This is kind of Mediterranean carpet. And I got word that will almost take as little water as a barrel cactus. Of course, your emus do very well, your tacomas. Now remember, if you're putting these guys in right now, you want to make sure you're watering them on a consistent basis. Brand new plants are going to require water at least once or twice every 2 to 3 days. You've got to make sure they don't dry out. But these do very well. If you've got existing plant material, regular hydration is crucial. In fact, deep watering about 2 to 3 feet on a weekly basis to bi-weekly basis is going to be the ideal situation. If you got some more that you want to look at, well, there's some Clevelandia sages out here, some skyflower, and one of my favorite, Hasperella. You can see it right back here. Small yucca looking guy, does very well, attracts a lot of different types of beneficial insects. Another one I want to throw out to you, this is one that will grow in pots. We're going to talk about pots here in a few minutes. Vitex, this is one that does very well. It can be planted in a pot or in the ground. It's a small tree, does very well. And if you're thinking about pots, well, going with the clay type are one of my favorite. Why? Because of the fact it has more insulating capability. It actually creates almost an air conditioner type of effect with your clay type pots. Why is that? Because clay absorbs moisture. As that moisture evaporates, it's actually going to create a natural cooling effect to a lot of your plants. So if you've got something like a hibiscus that you got to keep in a little bit of shade this time of year, you want to utilize some type of clay pots. Right behind that is, of course, one of my favorite. We talk about it all the time, the lavenders. They've got to be in some very well-drained soil out here in the desert Southwest. Without it, you're going to be real tough shape to really grow them. So a lot of times I'll defer right back to those clay pots we talked about earlier. And of course, your annuals, these are really important this time of year. If you're thinking about something, you want to put something in those clay type pots you may have vacant, some of your different types of celosia do very well. Your vincas are something that go in full sun. Remember to rotate them. It's going to be very important that you rotate those out about every 1 to 2 years. If you continue to plant them, well, you're going to be transferring diseases from one plant to the next. Pentas is another one that will work out real well. We've already talked about lantana, but there's a lot of different types of flowers you can actually utilize. And for those shaded areas, well, there's some coleus over here, and again, some more celosia. So all those can go in, believe it or not, this time of year. One last one I want to put out is your Salvia greggii. This is one you put underneath a lot of your different types of mesquites. And if you got those shaded areas around your yard you can't figure out, and you want to attract a lot of different types of beneficial insects and maybe some butterflies and hummingbirds, Scott and Olivia, these are one that will work out fantastic out here, especially with the upcoming hot weather. Scott, Olivia, back to you. Hey guys, I want to say one thing. When we get back, we're going to show you off a pond that Scotty, even you can maintain, and we can put a couple bluegill, maybe some catfish and bass.
Right.
And then you know what? I'm thinking once you stock that thing up, by the end of summer, you and I will be doing some fishing.
I know
nice.
you will, that's for
Show you that when
sure.
we come back.
Wow.
Dave's a fisherman, man.
He's
He
the one
loves
with
to
all the
fish.
land.
Yeah.
Oh, I love to fish.
Yeah, he
I love to
does.
fish.
Thanks, Dave. Many of us enjoy gardening, but others like to stick to potted plants.
Yeah, it seems a little easier,
Yeah.
maybe. How do you know which pots work best, and how do you keep them alive with this summer heat? So Dave, the garden guy, is at Summer Winds Nursery in Phoenix with some tips for us all. Dave, good morning to you, buddy.
Good morning to you, Scotty. Hey, first off, we had somebody come into Summer Winds. We're right north of Bell on Tatum Boulevard. Tina comes rolling in with her kids here. And Tina, tell us a little bit about your garden.
Well, we have several garden beds, and in one of them, all of my chard that I'm growing has some white, I guess it's mold, but we weren't quite sure, and we
A
definitely...
little fungal activity.
It looks like it. We cut this and eat this on a regular basis. It grows great, but I just wanted to make sure that it was safe for the kids, you know, since...
Yeah, sure. You know what you're looking at, and just hold it real still there. This is what we call powdery mildew. You'll see this on plants that are continually getting wet. So you're going to see it this time of year. We've gotten a lot of rain this year. Humidity levels have been fairly high. Real easy to take care of. So a little bit of buttermilk just sprayed throughout the garden. I know you sound that's crazy, but a little bit of buttermilk mixed with water will go a long ways. And there's something that's called a baking soda recipe. recipe that you can look up online that does a very good job. But what else you grow in your garden?
Well, we just picked some beets yesterday that we're going to make in a salad today. And what else do we have? We have a lot of chard. We have a lot of herbs. But yeah, we love the chard, the greens.
It works out fantastic. In fact, take a look. This is the Bright Light Swiss chard right there, folks. This is one of the few leafy greens that work out well out here in the desert Southwest. And what you want to do is you want to start thinking about these type of plants in pots or, of course, in the ground. These are some things that are from Velardia that are all indigenous type plant material. Well, what I mean by indigenous, they're grown out here in the desert Southwest. Some of your different types of jalapenos. There's a hibiscus sabatiferifera right there that works out fantastic, and it has an edible flower on it that you can turn into jams and jellies. And of course, right back here there's a dwarf moringa tree, and it's right back here and you can see it, and it works out fantastic. You can eat every bit of this tree out here in the desert Southwest. It does fairly well, protect it from any type of frost type damages, and you're going to be in real good shape. Rick, come on over here. I want to show off some of the different types of cucumbers and the other different types of vegetables you can grow out here in the desert Southwest. There's a lemon cucumber right here. They've got them all here. There's different types of eggplants that you can grow still, and these are ones that will do well in a little bit of afternoon shade. And again, in those pots that we talk about so often, and like I said, I like to utilize those clay pots. If you have potted type vegetables or for that kind of type fruit, you want to make sure you're watering on a regular basis and fertilizing at least on a weekly basis. It's very important. There's some different types of melons, some winter squash. All these do real well. I also want to come on over here. We'll walk right past Tina here for a second. I want to show off this water garden. In fact, they've got one here. It's kind of interesting. It's in a cattle tank here, and it does very well out here in the desert Southwest. This is what I was talking about earlier, and this is just basically different types of water-loving type plants, including these lilies. And there's fish down here somewhere. I don't know exactly where they're at, but this is something you can actually utilize in your yard if you got a lot of traffic noise, or you just like that little effect of that water, kind of just that water type sound. This is something that does very well, and they've got all the different types of plants that work out here in the desert Southwest in those types of situations. All they did was put a little pump in there. They've got the water rolling over these little riffles. You can see that creates a little aerobic type of situation. That's real important. You have some type of moving water, and it's going to be real important to have something like that. Why? Because the water will become stagnant. So you got to have some type of movement in there, and also it helps screen out any type of traffic noise. Now, last but not least, there's a couple other plants I wanted to mention. One of them is rue. We grow a lot of that in our gardens right here. I utilize that to actually detract from any type of insects, and I am going on pretty much a meatless diet, so I got to watch out for the amount of beans I'm eating. There's something that's called epizode. So Scotty, you got the same problem I do. This gets rid of that GAS after you eat a lot of those beans. Yeah, it's called epizode. You mix it right in there. I had to put it on for Scotty because I don't know if he's got the same problem I do every once in a while, but epizode always comes in handy, Scotty. So, Olivia.
Well, I sit next to him for 4 hours a day, and so far so good.
Yeah, we're doing okay today. But
has it been okay?
Dave,
well, you know what, Olivia? Maybe I know something you don't know, girl.
Maybe you hang out after dinner, and I'm just around at breakfast time.
Dave, you get the big TMI on this one, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.